All right, how goes it, ladies and gentlemen? JV Wins and Dogon SS are here for another edition to the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate everybody who has joined the tribe as of late. Much is appreciated. If you like the commentary in this or any of the other videos that we have on this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about any of our talking points or any of these subject matters, because we, of course, do it for the community, and we certainly appreciate your support. So, with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get right into it. First topic for this evening, we are going to talk about Diddy, or as people from my generation know him as Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, proprietor of Bad Boy Records, Sean John, and all of that good stuff. So he was recently headlining the what's the name of this conference? He headlined the it's called like something Invest. It's a yeah, Invest Fest. There you go. So Diddy recently headlined. Thank you. Diddy recently headlined Invest Fest, which is an annual business and leadership conference geared towards Black and Brown people. Took place in Atlanta, and he was on, I guess you can consider it a panel, and he gave his thoughts on the value of the purchasing power of Black people and how currently, although Black people have an extraordinary amount of purchasing power, we are not doing a good enough job of putting a large amount of that purchasing power back into the Black community, is what he said. But I think what he was getting at was Black owned businesses more specifically. So we thought that these comments were interesting in and of themselves. So we'll go ahead and listen to what he had to say, of course, and then we will opine on his comments once we actually, watch the video, of course. So took me a couple minutes to actually find it real quick, but I did find it. So have no fears. I did find it. So here's Puff talking about the purchasing power of Black people, $1.8 trillion, and how that needs to get reinvested into the Black community because, quote, no one is coming to save us.
Whoa.
To the reality that nobody is coming to save us. No one is coming to save us. Out of all the business revenue in America, only 1% goes to Black businesses. But then there's an accountability from us, because we have a $1.8 trillion buying power, and only 2% of that we circulate in our own community. So we can't complain. We know what it is. It's time to change the tone. We have to unify our dollars, else nothing will change. We have to weaponize the almighty Black dollar to save us, because we can't have these festivals and conventions, but then we leave here and we don't understand the power of our $1.8 trillion spending power, that we only give 2% to ourselves. So I'm here to speak from love. I'm love. Self-love is making sure that you take care of yourself, your family, and your people first. You can't wait for nobody to come save you. So there is a solution. Things are definitely dismal as far as what's planned for us, but there's a way out if we unify. But we got to truly unify. We have to truly start making decisions that support our communities. We can't think that there's a government grant that's going to come and just free us all. We have to get to hustling, working together, and changing the tone. Yeah.
All right, get out of here, Ad.
Yeah, for real though.
All right, so he got into working together and weaponizing the $1.8 trillion purchasing power, and investing in ourselves and collaboration and hustling and all of that good stuff. I'm interested to hear what you thought of what he had to say there.
Well, I mean, it's hard to disagree with that. I mean, who disagrees with that? So he makes valid points across the board. So I agree with him there. But here we go again, because that clip that we showed from Jeezy was from Invest Fest. So these guys are just getting on these panels and they're saying a lot of good things, that the crowd needs to hear. It's getting circulated around social media. It's a powerful message. So I'm not against that. But there's something about this that just didn't come off right. I guess it's the messenger kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, he does his thing, as far as revolt and stuff like that. And I guess he tries to put black people on here and there. So he does his thing when it comes to stuff like that. So I'm not, casting shade, but at the same time, he's just one of those super villains in my world when it comes to his impact on our culture. The reason why we spend our money out of our community is, well, because of his Ciroc bottles and his other things that he made sure that black people went out and spent all their money frivolously on. And then here he comes back later, years later, and go, yeah, we got to spend money with ourselves. This is our problem. So to me, this Invest Fest situation is coming off real pulpitish, real preacherish, in the sense of who can disagree with this sermon, but at the same time, how does this person live, outside of these walls? And just like how you called out Jeezy on some, hey man, well, I don't want to hear any cars and chains music. So from Diddy Puff, a guy that has a lot of money, a lot of influence, let's put your money where your mouth is, and let's see how you can maneuver your powers, how you can rub some elbows or rub something else, because you like to do that, so we can get our community in a better spot. I would like to see that. So no, I don't have any issues with it. I kind of have an issue with the messenger kind of thing. How about you, man? How do you feel about Diddy Puff and Brother Love's explanation of what the black community needs to do with their dollars?
Yeah, I agree with you. That's the direction that I was going to go in. It sounds it comes off to me very grifter-ish.
Yeah.
Because of who's saying it. Like, and so I'm with him in spirit. I'm of course with him in spirit, because as you said, who can disagree with any of that? And I took the liberty of kind of looking at some of his business ventures. He's got Bad Boy Records, of course. He's invested in education. He's like the proprietor, or I don't know whether he owns this thing outright or whether he's just a chief investor, but there's like a school or education program that he's developed called Capital Prep Harlem. Sends underprivileged youth to schools to get a valuable education, which is cool. Then you got Combs Wines and Spirits, which of course is the liquor, Ciroc, and all of that kind of stuff. Sean John, the clothes and whatnot. And then you got Revolt TV and Media. So that's the media thing that he does, Revolt and whatnot. So he's doing things that one could suggest creates avenues for funds to be matriculated back to black-owned businesses, if you want to look at it like in a roundabout way. But his chief export is hip hop. That's his chief export. That's his primary export. So through his primary export, the vehicle, the music, the record label, and all of that kind of stuff, he's been a part of a machine that has conditioned black and brown people to spend money elsewhere, as you put it, because I completely agree. Like you run Ciroc and you run Sean John and all of this kind of stuff. So this is purchasing power, if you will, that gets directly put back into your pocket. But in the grand scheme of things, how is that helping to spread awareness on the purchasing power that needs to go back into black communities and black owned businesses or black and brown or any of that kind of stuff? Like, your chief export being, hip hop has conditioned generations of people to spend their money elsewhere, to spend their money on liquor instead of education, or to spend their, or rather to focus primarily on spending their money on assets that depreciate in value rather than appreciate, because you spent so much time talking about your clothes and your jewelry and your jets and your houses and how rich you are and all of this cool stuff. So it kind of comes off as, at least to me, I wasn't in attendance at the conference. So, if people want to, glean valuable insights from what he had to say, to each their own. I'm not going to fault you for that. But for me personally, in my opinion, it kind of comes off as too little too late, because you spent the vast majority of your peak years, the years in which you had the most impact, basically being a part of a machine that conditions people to frivolously spend money. And frivolously spending money doesn't matriculate purchasing power back into black and brown owned businesses, and in communities. It sends it elsewhere. It sends it to European owned businesses and ventures. If you want to buy a car that's not American made, or buy a car that is not, own, I don't know, none of these, stuff like, these vehicle makes and models and things like that, stuff that's just not owned or proprietized by black people, put it that way. So I kind of feel like the messenger in this kind of makes this message itself suspect. So I'm with you on that. I kind of feel like it's too little too late, but the spirit of what he has to say, I do agree with. And here's the thing, very much like how we talked about with Jeezy and Meek Mill, like, Diddy's book isn't completely written, so I'm not necessarily condemning what he's doing into perpetuity.
Right.
But it's one of those situations where, yeah, I gotta go there. Like, if you're on this kick where you want to empower people to be entrepreneurs and business owners and not be frivolous with their money spending, to be smarter and more strategic with their investments, to understand the value of passive income and appreciable assets, I gotta look at you sideways if you continue to make these songs talking about how you throwing money at women and hopping on your jets and getting in your super rich fancy cars and hanging out in communities where black people can't afford to live, and having your super fancy rich NDA parties that only rich people, that only your rich friends can go to. So it's one of those situations where you really do have to practice what you preach. And for his sake, for the sake of his credibility moving forward, I just hope that he practices what he preaches, because right now, based on the history and what I've come to know him for, Bad Boy Records, take that.
Right.
It's one of those things where it's like, all right, bro, I get what you're saying, but you are someone to whom I'm not necessarily going to pay attention to when you're trying to kick that kind of game.
I agree, and so yeah, I'm in the same boat. So no hate on the message. Message is 100% correct, but it's kind of one of those things of who didn't know that. Now he gave us some percentages that's like, okay, that's all right, that's pretty wild, but okay, but who didn't know that was already going on? So that was the part. That's the part about this was like, okay, give us more, but him just going grass green, sky blue, and it's like, all right, bro, we already know we doing this foolishness. You know what I'm saying? So what are you doing? What can you provide as a solution? That's one thing about these panels. They love to talk about the problems, but there's never anything about solutions. So the only thing he said was, let's not walk out of here. And okay, well, what should the people do and not just walk out of here? Because that's what they say in all these panels at the same thing. I hear that at every panel discussion. Let's not walk out of here and keep the same habits going. So it's like, okay, well, what problems did we solve in here? We were just complaining for 2.5 hours. So it's those talking points where that's the part of it that comes off griftery to me, because it's just, well, it's just a talking point. So yeah, he gave us percentages, but it's not like he went and researched that. So it's a thing where it's like, you know, he's just told these things, and hey, this would be good to say on a panel type. These are publicity moments. This looks good for PR. This is Diddy is looking out for our community. That's what this is for.
And I'm sure as the headliner of that conference, he earned money to be there. He was paid handsomely in all likelihood to be there. So like the money that it costs to be an attendee at this thing.
Oh yeah.
There's a decent percentage of that revenue that went directly to him. So my thing is, all right, man, like people are going to see, the thing is people like him get to depend on lazy people who don't hold people like him accountable. So people like him need to understand that you're putting yourself into a situation in which you could potentially reap what you sow. You're supposedly putting people on game. Well, the more people you put on game, the more people are going to hold you accountable for stuff. And the more people are going to do their own research into what you're spending your money on. So people already know, as the headliner, you received a decent amount of money to be at this thing. That's how these conferences work. No keynote speaker shows up and just does it for free. Everybody's paid. Mm-hmm. So knowing that he was paid to be there, unless he donated the money to charity, which, you know, maybe I can do some, I don't know. Maybe Puff donated whatever he made to be there to charity. Who knows? But I'm going under the assumption that he did not, that he was paid money to be there. Mm-hmm. So people know that you're being paid to be there. Now people are going to start saying, where are you spending your money? Because if you're not spending your money in the same fashion that you're preaching to people that they ought to do the same, you're going to come off looking suspect.
Because it sounds good. So a lot of people go around saying stuff that sound good, but they don't live it. So that's what it comes off as to me. But you mentioned some stuff that he was doing in the community. Somebody can look at me and say, hey, you doing more than you. And hey, man, well, I don't have X amount of whatever. But if I had his kind of money, trust and believe, my impact will be felt. You wouldn't have to do research. You would just know. And so, but for the thing with him, man, hey, have at it. I don't really trust this man. I've heard way too many stories. Maybe he's turned over a new leaf like all these people, but hey man, these are a lot of people that are changing their stripes right about now. So I don't know if this is part of branding to get on board with everybody else consciousness that's changing. So they have to get in this lane because that old lane is dead and dying. I don't know what's going on up top, but they all making this shift over here, trying to be socially and politically and all this stuff conscious. So if it's actually going down like that, kudos. But if this is just a new form of grifting that all of these people are doing, hey, come buy into me, come buy into this, come buy into that, or whatever, who knows? But one thing that I'll say, last thing, is that the truth will always be the thing. So when it comes to these people who are doing all this whatever stuff, however this is supposed to play out, the truth is going to be in the truth is going to prevail, basically. So if they have to say these things in a form of grifting, that's the truth eventually having to come out. And if the grifters have to start really speaking truth in order to start grifting, they have to, at that point, these people are spreading a message of truth out there. And this is part of, hey man, life is going in a direction where only truth wins. And so these people are adopting truthful talking points, and a lot of other people are doing it. So it seems to be that big point is the truth is going to come out. And one thing is that, yeah, Black people need to get it together when it comes to spending their money within their own community, you know, and take heed and pay attention to all those places that you go to around your neighborhood and see who own them and start trying to spend your money differently, you know. So
yeah. It's gonna be now that he's talking like this, and he's, you know, he had the vote or die thing years and years ago trying to get people to the polls to vote. So this is my thing with this hip hop stuff, man. These hip hop people, it's like it's a double-edged sword, because not me, because I ignore them for the most part, but most people listen to people in his position.
Yeah, I
And
know.
so they have the ear of the majority of the people who
Yeah.
reside in the communities whom they purportedly represent.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people listen to what they say,
Right.
and so in a roundabout way, because of that, they're kind of needed. But at the same time, it becomes cringy to hear them speak like this, but then still see them jigabooing with this hip hop stuff. And that's the
This
thing about
brother.
it. And that's the thing about it that kind of it's funny, really is funny. To me, I find it funny because I kind of like I said, largely I ignore them.
Right.
But like to hear him speak this way, conscientious and whatnot, but then he's got a new album coming out, which I'm sure is no coincidence.
Ew.
He's got some new music coming out, some new album, and he's gonna have the city girls on there.
Ew.
He's gonna have the rappers who talk about the drug and gun bars on there. So
That's right.
that's the thing. The thing with me is, where does the rubber meet the road in terms of your conscientiousness in the community and what
Right.
your chief export is?
Right.
Because your chief export is still ignorance. But then in person, you pray tell to be someone who is above that.
Right.
So I'm just looking at it, and it gives me cognitive dissonance personally, which is why I ignore them mostly.
Right.
But for most people who don't think on that plane, they're gonna listen to what he has to say and take it in some respects as gospel. So it's just like, all right, bro, you're in this position and you want to be this influential. Hopefully, at least to a certain extent, there's some consistency between what you do with your money and what you're telling everyone else to do with theirs.
Yep.
So,
Agree 100%.
that's pretty much all. That's pretty much all that I can hope for.
You're gonna see him at a you know what I'm saying, at an NDA party with a shiny suit, jigaboom. And yeah, like you said, bro, because that's who he is. And like you said, that was good. Good thing you said. His chief export is ignorance.
Yeah.
So that's why I said let's watch. So Meek Mill, you want to watch, bro? Gee, we watching you. Diddy Puff, we're watching y'all. And as soon as we're gonna cover it here on the Conscious Approach. Yeah, I don't care. It can be a mixtape, album, single, music video. I'm gonna show it. Just to say, this you?
Right. Yeah, man. When you want to be that community activist like that, you can't go back. Well, you can, but you're gonna get called out for that.
Yeah, stand on it.
You do got to stand on that. Good luck, Puff. Hopefully, because you have a good percentage of that $1.8 trillion purchasing power. Oh, take that. So, psychologist Sadia Khan has some interesting comments on the impact of social media on the population. Mind control is a running theme of your rhetoric, Dogon SS, and it is not a rhetoric that I disagree with, but I don't want to claim what you have brought to this channel over the years, because that's something that you kind of talk about consistently, and I happen to agree with it very much so. But this woman here, Sadia Khan, spoke on this, I thought, very impactfully. So let's listen to what she had to say about what social media does to people's decision making and how it influences behavior and all of that kind of stuff. And then, of course, we will give our thoughts on what she had to say afterwards. Definitely thought that this was interesting. So she's pretty renowned. She makes she does the junkets, the talk shows, and all of this good stuff, speaking on some of the things that she does her research on and how she sort of curated her career over the years. So once again, her name is Sadia Khan, and this is her thoughts on the internet, essentially social media, apps, the internet, and all of that good stuff.
Online dating and the rise of feminism has taught women that they are not to blame for any poor choices. Every poor choice is glamorized. So if you want to be a sex worker, it's great. If you want to post in bikini pictures online, it's fine. If you want to be in with it, every poor choice is glamorized, and every internal reflection is seen as gaslighting yourself. So they've even got terms for internal reflection to prevent it happening. And so what will happen is they are trained to not reflect on themselves because we've been told we've been oppressed for so many years. Now it's time to make sure we project. And so we don't take any accountability. And as a result, when we get into relationships, if we don't feel completely soothed all the time, he must be a narcissist. He must be a manipulator. He must be gaslighting. He, rather than I. And unfortunately, we've got an online market that caters to that wounded woman, that caters to that entitled woman, and caters to that narcissistic woman.
Wow.
Man, so Brittany Renner and Sha'Carri Richardson are just two of the people who came to my mind almost immediately when she was talking about that. And those are just two examples that came to my mind. There's several more, obviously, that we could bring up. But what did you think about what she had to say there?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with her 100%. And I think, she hit the nail on the head when she said that, women are being, they have this viewpoint of them being oppressed throughout all human history, basically. And, I came up with a bit of analogy to help me understand where women are coming from whenever they're talking crap about men. And I just kind of make it racial. So I look at it as women seeing themselves as black people and them viewing men just white people, the oppressor. So we get lumped in the same boat. You go, hey man, I'm a black man. I'm here to protect and provide. And she goes, hey, you're a man. This is my team over here. And that kind of operation. So it's kind of a thing where it's like when you see a black person achieving something that's predominantly white, black people go, yeah, we did it. So that's what women do when they get themselves in a movie. And that's why they love the movies. Or when something happens to a man, they go, get over it. You're a man. It's kind of those things where something happens. It's like, hey, man, get over it. You're white. It's white privilege. You got this whole country to yourself. You got a 400-year head start. All of that stuff. So everything you do is justified. So black people can say whatever they want online about white people for the most part. White man better not. So same thing going on with men right now. They have their stuff where they're talking crazy about women. But at the same time, in the workplace, can't say nothing to a woman. You can't say nothing about a woman. So now I know how white people felt when I walked in the room and they couldn't say what they felt on their mind because they were going to get fired. Yeah, my hair was nappy that day. You bet not say nothing either. So it's the same thing with when the women, they come in there and they say, yeah, I'm this and that and that. What you going to do about it? I've been oppressed for all these years. So they come off, they got a little energy to them. So I say all of that stuff to say is that when she brings up the point that there's this thing that's going on, I feel like naturally in women where they just want to be heard. And I don't have any problems with that. But then in their pursuit of wanting to be heard is this thing, like, as she mentioned, where, pretty much anything goes. So anything that you make as far as a suggestion that sounds a little too traditional, for the most part, the feminist wave has created this mindset in women of let me do whatever I want. And with that is this no accountability stuff. And then, as she mentioned, online, there's a market for people out here who are just feeding into that mindset of you didn't do nothing wrong, girl. You're a 10. You're a 10. You're this. You are the table. All of this stuff. And what it's doing is it's creating what we're experiencing in the dating market. Now, I'm not saying that men don't have their own issues when it comes to being in the dating market. All right. But when it comes to the feminism ruining the dating market, and then social media basically promoting feminist talking points all the time, then we have this recipe for disaster that we have right now where men and women are on two different planets. I mean, they already were. I guess they're in two different galaxies at this point. So I've got more to say. How do you feel about this whole dynamic, man? Do you agree with Ms. Kong that social media and the feminist movement has done harm to our women in this country?
I think it's done harm to humans. And so obviously, because women are human, last time I checked, then they are a part of what has happened here. I've always said that these people who created these advancements, these apps and everything like that, the mindset behind the creation of these applications was that they were doing something that was good for the world. But everything that's created, even if it has the purest of intentions, is always going to have unintended consequences. And one of the unintended consequences of because I'm just going to lump it all into the internet. So social media, online dating apps, I lump all of that into the internet. That's what I kind of call it. That's like the overarching, for me, I just lump it all into the category of the internet. And one of the things that the internet has done is it has created convenient echo chambers for people to live in. And when you live in an echo chamber, that desensitizes you to the notion that there's any sort of viewpoint that is outside of your own that you ought to pay attention to, it can cause you to believe that exposure to any of those outside viewpoints is a form of attack. And I mentioned this before with people like Sha'Carri Richardson, when Sha'Carri Richardson was going off, talking about how the media needs to respect athletes more. Like, where does that come from? So, you believe that you're under siege because someone said you're not the best runner in the world, or someone had a critique for you in terms of the field of play in which you reside. So you believe now that that's a form of disrespect. And the only reason why you would feel that way is because you are exposed more often than not to opinions that validate your form of thinking. And what the internet has done, it is put people in a position to only expose themselves to forms of validation, which you and I both know is not real life. Real life is both forms of validation as well as forms of invalidation. And you can't be a balanced human being if you only expose yourself to forms of validation.
Agreed.
But when you only expose yourself to forms of validation, it creates this tendency to always view yourself as a victim and to feel as though you are in the right to behave in certain kinds of ways because it's like your proverbial form of reparation. And I see it happening all around me. Like one of my pet peeves is people who just have a general lack of consideration for other humans. Like we've lost the ability or the capacity to understand how an act or a behavior on your part can impact another person. We just don't give a damn. We just do whatever we want whenever we want. So like, for example, I like to go to the gym a lot. And the gym that I go to, it's largely middle class, working class people. They probably make whatever they make. They're certainly not, top 10%. They're not six figures or more. They're not even in what Kevin Samuels would describe as the hit squad, which is like, $60K or more a year. They're working class. And, you go into this gym and, me being a frequent gym goer, one of my pet peeves is people who just don't re-rack weights and who just leave equipment wherever they want. They throw trash on the floor. Like you wipe off equipment with paper towels, and then instead of walking 10 feet to throw the paper towel in the trash, you just throw it on the floor. These to me are, now you might think that that's just some small little thing here, but to me, when I see people doing stuff like that, to me, it's indicative of people who don't give a shit how their actions might impact another person. Because what if the person who needs to use that piece of equipment can't undo all of the weights that you left on there because you didn't care and you left it? You're inconveniencing this individual because of your lack of consideration. Now, that individual would tell you, I don't need to do that. That's that person's job. I don't work here. Let them disassemble the machine.
Yep.
I work too hard to have to re-rack my weights. I work too hard for that. Let that person do it because that's their job. Or to walk 30, if you're leaving a grocery store to take a grocery cart, if you have a grocery cart and you're walking out of a grocery store and you put your groceries in your car, instead of walking 15, 20 feet to put your cart in the cart aisle, you just leave it in the parking spot. Now, what if the next person wants to use that spot? Now I have to get out of my car to get your cart out of the way because you didn't give a shit.
That's right.
And why did you not give a shit? Because I don't care. I can do it. I don't care. What they work here. Let the cart people walk out here and take the cart back. I don't care. This I don't care thing feeds into one's thinking that they can just do whatever the hell they want. And it feeds into one's thinking that I'm justified in me doing whatever the hell I want because I've been done wrong in my life for so long. So this is my get back. Let me do whatever I want. Let me leave trash on the ground. Let me leave weights all over the place. Let me leave carts in a parking spot. Let me leave food out somewhere where it's going to rot and decompose and let the maggots come eat it. Let me do this inconsiderate, dumb, barbaric shit because I retain the right to do so because I've been done dirty my whole life. And what makes me think that I have no accountability to change the course of my life and that I'm just a victim and so I can just do whatever the hell I want? The internet has me thinking that. This is and that and I know that this is a grandiose thing that I'm bringing up here, but I really do think that it's like A and B type deductive form of reasoning when it comes to trying to observe some of the unintended consequences of the internet, social media, dating apps, all this kind of stuff. People resort to dating apps and they feel that they can just catfish people, put whatever they want on their profile, or rather not do things in the daytime. Let me not work on my social skills. Let me instead hide behind the cloak of an online dating app. Why? Because the internet has convinced me that it's not my fault women don't want me as a man. It's because women are unreasonable. So I'm a victim here. So in lieu of my victimhood, let me get on Tinder and Bumble and do whatever the hell I want. And so I think that she's 100% right on. And it's one of the reasons why our society as a whole has just continued to become even more and more degraded each and every year. The more access that we have to these echo chambers, the worse we become. The dumber we become, the lazier we become, the less considerate we become. And it ain't just women, although she spotlighted women in the feminist mindset. And sure, that factors into it, of course. I'm not going to disregard that because I agree with that. But to me, it's bigger than that. It's everybody doing this weirdo victimhood. I'm the one who's oppressed. Let me do whatever I want and embrace social anarchy nonsense. It all factors into it. So, unfortunately, people won't wise up because I firmly believe that the majority of the population was meant to just conform and consume and sort of allow themselves to be, at the beck and call of various forms of mind control, the internet and social media being one of them. So long as that is the case, this is going to continue to see an uptick in its occurrence. And, we'll only have ourselves to blame for it. But I see that this is going to continue, certainly well into the future.
Spot on, man. And I agree. I do think this is across the board. I don't think it's just the women's. And the red pill content out there, those guys are just screaming victimhood. It's a degree of facts and what the women are saying. There's a degree of facts and what the guys are saying. But at the end of the day, there's still a lack of accountability on both sides. And what's going on is, man, people are just soft. And
yeah, but you can't say that. No, you can't say people are soft. That's politically that's insensitive.
My bad. Oh well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And hey man, grow some thicker skin, man. I don't know what to tell y'all. But yeah, man, everything's gotten lazier. So I've said this before on other things. In order to do the mature thing, it's hard. In order to do the right thing, it's hard. But doing the irresponsible thing, doing whatever the hell you want, now that's easy. And everybody wants to do the easy damn thing. And so when you have somebody online, like you said, validating a lifestyle that's an escape from reality, then they just consume that and go, you know what, you're right. Whenever people give me a hard time about me being a shitty person, I don't feel like I'm being shitty. Maybe it's their problem. Maybe they're the wrong ones. Then you look online and you find the content that goes, these people are crazy. They're narcissists. And then you go, oh, I knew it. So I've had since narcissist content has blown up, you know what I'm saying? I got accused of being a little narcissistic. And I'm like, hey, look. Now, first of all, it's a spectrum. And so everybody got a little bit of stuff, especially if you came up in North America. But there's extreme clinical cases, and I ain't that. So, but people always want to be a victim, not seeing what they did in whatever situation, but still want to say, you're a narc. You're this, you're that. And yeah, so this whole victimhood mentality is pervasive throughout the internet. I will agree with that because it's the easy thing to do. It doesn't require being responsible for the most of it. Everybody in your life did you wrong, girl. Well, isn't this what can it be that there's something that you're not doing right? Could it be that? Because everybody don't go through life like this. Why is it just you? So you might want to evaluate what you're doing in your life and change X, Y, or Z, and maybe you'll get different results instead of listening to these people telling you that no, everybody's shitty, everybody's going to do you wrong, and all this other stuff. And so that's why the red pill manosphere type of stuff can get dangerous if you don't listen to it for the game, and you're just listening to it to bash women. I think you missed the point. And it's crazy and it's ironic because the whole time they're talking about hollering, being alphas and that guy's a beta or a simp, and it's all about being alpha and stuff like that. But how can you claim alpha and you worried and crying about what a woman is doing? It's the most ridiculous thing ever. So you can't claim that you out here alpha. That's like literally, if you will, a pimp literally crying about, his workers because they're, doing work. It's like, look, man, that's what she do. So at the same time, so for these guys out here in the manosphere type of thing, you got to understand, man, women, they're their own creatures. They're going to do what they do, and there's a way that you can look at reality and not feel like you're being victimized. Same thing for the women. And y'all should know men are a certain kind of way. That's the reality of it. And so position yourself as such, but don't look at life being a victim because there's something you can do about whatever the hell's going on. So yeah, man, I don't agree with the victimhood mentality. I do feel like the internet is gassing it up, is making it worse. But hey, man, what can you say? These are the times, man. All I would say to the people is, grab some thoughts of your own, and whenever you're hearing somebody keep on hollering victimhood, they're no different than Diddy Puff. So yeah, they're just grifters. They're just looking for that donation or that whatever, they're playing, man, they be playing them people in the chat. I can go on a whole tangent about that. But yeah, man, be careful of that content out there, guys. Be careful.
Yeah, I remember when Jamel Hill liked a tweet for an article years ago that was written by a black man, which was the most disappointing part about this whole thing. And the article was about how for black women, their oppressors are black men. That was the article. So this guy wrote an article explaining how in the modern day, black women's oppressors are black men. This guy wrote this thing. This is a black man who wrote this, and she, being the individual that she liked it, calling it high heat, was saying that it was good stuff. And this is the kind of stuff that we have going on. All of these social constructions that we're coming up with to create a world of social anarchy, it feeds into this dynamic, because now I can't. You being obese is not about the fact that you have lived a life in such a way that you've become obese. You're obese because you're a victim. You must be a victim of something. Or, you're a sex worker, and people are saying, hey, you're out there being a sex worker. What's the deal with these slut walks? and now you're a victim of slut shaming, instead of it being a situation in which, no, you're trying to live a life as a sex worker. And so I don't know. That's the sad part about it, is that we bent the knee to this stuff. Corporations have bent the knee. The media has bent the knee. They buy into it all. Politics has bent the knee. So it's all gone the way of shit. And, it's unfortunate, because it's just creating a society of lazy people who don't want to be held accountable for their own poor choices in life. So, that's why I side with everything she is saying. People need to boss up, man up, stop acting like a word that I'd like to use on this channel, but I don't want the views to get suppressed, so I'm not going to use it. But yeah, man, people need to stop, being, what's the word I'm pansies. I'll just say that.
Pansies. I was about to say something too, but I was like, nah, that might get canceled too.
Right, yeah. I ain't trying to have the content on this channel censored, not when we moving up on and up. So, but yeah, I'm with this. I like the message. People need to understand the mind control that they are subjecting themselves to when they're using these apps and on these phones and all of this social stuff, because it is real. You're not a victim. Just do better in life, because no one's victimizing you. You're victimizing yourself. So,
yep.
Lebanon. LeBron James is reportedly in the shadows, working to put together an Olympic team for the 2024 Summer Olympics. We talked about LeBron last week. Well, ancillarily, because we actually talked about his right-hand man, Rich Paul, saying that LeBron, essentially is the greatest player of all time because he has to deal with media scrutiny that Michael Jordan never had to deal with. That's basically what he was saying. So here we go again with LeBron, who's in the media again, because he's allegedly recruiting NBA superstars for the Olympics next year. So this article from TMZ says, report LeBron James recruiting NBA superstars for 2024 Olympics. LeBron James is reportedly putting together his next super team, recruiting the biggest names in the NBA to join him on Team USA for one last ride together at the 2024 Olympics. The four-time champion, who hasn't played international hoops since winning gold at the London Games in 2012, is actively working to assemble a roster of the league's top American talent, according to Shams Charania, including guys like Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, Jason Tatum, Draymond Green, and Anthony Davis. The news comes on the heels of Team USA's disappointing fourth-place finish at the FIBA World Cup, but Shams noted James was assembling his team long before America's loss to Canada over the weekend. Team USA could be stacked from top to bottom, as Devin Booker, Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving, and De'Aaron Fox have also reportedly shown interest in donning the red, white, and blue again. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Now, clearly, what is being put out there by the LeBron media machine, and this is going to feed into my comments or thoughts on this whole thing, is that this is being orchestrated by LBJ. What do you think about this? I think LeBron will be, by the time this comes around, I think LeBron will be like 39 or 40 by the time that the Olympics start next summer, something like that.
39.
I'll look that up. But yeah. So, what do you think about LeBron and this whole idea about him putting together this roster?
I like it, I guess. it was embarrassing, just seeing the team that was out there. I was not impressed. And, to not even just to qualify to play in the championship is wild. So, yeah, it was embarrassing. So we needed to do something about it. Why not the ambassador of the NBA? Lebanon James, and Le GM, and recruiting. Yeah, because he liked to piece together teams anyway. He do it in the All-Star thing. His team LeBron always. So he's always assembling some master team. So, him getting the Slim Reaper and the babyface assassin, whatever they call Steph Curry, Chef Curry, right? So, what's that? Dame Dollars, right? Dame Time. So look, I like the names. It's star-studded. These guys are all going to be in their 30s, though. They're in their age. But it's not like the Dream Team wasn't in their age either. So, if these guys can get it done, and put some respect back on US name, I'm with it. But my thing is I never understood. I mean, I get it, but I don't like the fact that we always send our seed league team there. And I'm sitting there looking at the roster. There's guys sprinkled in there that I like their games, but it's like, to represent the US though, this is what we're doing, And once I saw that we lost to Germany and Dennis Schroeder, I've never been a hater of Dennis Schroeder. I always felt like he had a decent enough game, and he gets under people's skin enough to make things happen in moments. So I never really had a problem with him. So for him to get under the skin of the entire United States, I was for that, because people was actually treating him like he's some type of bum. Well, yeah, he showed you guys. So I appreciate that. Kind of like when Arroyo back in the day, when he played for that Puerto Rico or something, and he was just saucing up the United States.
He was.
And I was like, see, and y'all keep him on the bench.
Yeah.
So what's this? So there's some stuff in the NBA where I don't really understand. The talent level is low. And one more thing, I'll let you go. To me, and the reason why this was so funny to me, for all those people out there that love to talk about how this new generation of people is more talented than the previous group. Oh yeah, well, these y'all boys, right? Is it not Ingram? Is it not what's that boy name? The point guard, the light-skinned dude, he's good. Halliburton, you know what I'm saying? Is it not these guys? There's nothing wrong with these guys' skill set. They can dribble like crazy, they can jump high as hell, but there's something missing in them boys. There's something missing in them boys. And that's what we be talking about when we talk about the generational differences. Those guys, those dudes were out there playing man ball. And this soft Olay stuff, you know what I'm saying? These guys are not cut right. So when they go out there and they play international, and they play against men, they don't know how to hang, man. And it's embarrassing. So we got to go send our men out there to go do something. So for all those people out there that talk about how skilled this young generation is, and how Kareem and them was playing against garbage men and all the other stuff, reevaluate your thought process when these guys go up against the world's best and lose. And so how do you feel about this, man? I feel like this is chickens coming home to roost for this young generation that needs to get it together on the basketball court. How about you, man?
Yeah, we care. So we had, and by the way, the year, I believe it was 2004 when Arroyo was doing us in, and we sent that team out there that had Iverson and Andre Iguodala and Rudy Gay, I think, was on that team, and it just wasn't a very well constructed team, and we lost. I think we did bronze that year. And so after that embarrassment, then Kobe was on there. It was Kobe, LeBron, and Carmelo, and Wade, and it was the actual best players in the league. Right. So we care about the Olympics. We won the gold medal every Olympics summer since 2004. So the Olympics isn't the issue. The issue is when we do the FIBA games. That's the issue, because that's when we get beat up on. And I do agree with you that I think it would be better if the USA cared as much about FIBA as we did about the Olympics. and send our best players to compete even in FIBA, because then people like Noah Lyles wouldn't have a point. Because if you're going out there every year as the USA and dominating, even whether it's FIBA or not, whether it's the world, because there's another world tournament that they do too. I forget the name of it, but you got FIBA, you got this other world tournament, and then you got the Olympics. We show up for the Olympics, but then for the other two, we don't care. And that's what, gives people like Noah Lyles and Boris Cujo, the opportunity to say that we don't dominate world basketball the way that we used to, because unless it's the Olympics, we're losing. So, but we're losing the plot here, guys. Okay, that's not the real reason that this is a story. Okay, and don't think I didn't notice this, Clutch Sports. All right. The reason why this is even a story is because, let's say they put this team together, they go out there, they dominate, and they win. If they do that, because you know what I'm saying is true. Okay, you know that this is true. The rhetoric on that is going to be LeBron put this team together. And that's another reason why LeBron is the greatest player of all time, because LeBron got on the phone and called up all these superstars and convinced them through LeBron's leadership. It was LeBron's leadership that got this team together.
Oh, man.
That's what they're going to say.
They can't do that.
That's what they're going to listen. Mark my words. Mike Greenberg, Kendrick Perkins, Shannon Sharp, Nick Wright, Maverick Carter, Rich Paul, all of the LeBron acolytes in the media. Okay. That's what they're going to say. LeBron got on the phone and he called these guys up because of his leadership. They can't say no to LeBron. So LeBron put this team together to go out there and represent Team USA in the aftermath of what happened in the FIBA games in 2023, to bring glory back to the USA. LeBron did that. And because LeBron did that, we can add this into his book of greatest of all time.
God, I can't.
That's what that is the headline here. That's the headline. It's not that these guys are agreeing to play. It's that LeBron is the reason why.
Listen, hold on.
That's the plot. That's the plot.
If they do this, you're looking at this in 5D. Because I was just like, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? You're like, nah, bro, it's a bigger picture, man. They playing chess with us. Because you know they're going to win. You're right.
It's it is, bro, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're going to win. And when they win, it'll be because LeBron brought it together. And then it'll be, Jordan never did that, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to be like those guys who played for the Dream Team. Jordan didn't orchestrate that. He may have been the best player, but did he orchestrate it? No, LeBron orchestrated this team, and that's why he's the greatest player ever. It is an inclusion in the LeBron superlatives that keep getting made up to move the goalposts in a direction which will make it incomprehensible for you to think that LeBron is anything other than the greatest player of all time. How can you say a guy who puts Olympians together, who's a social activist, who talks about racism on social media, and who builds schools, how can you now say that guy is not the greatest of all time? How can you not?
Okay,
so that's what this is about. That is what this is about.
Let me ask you
that's the plot here. That is the plot. It has nothing to do with the team itself. The plot is LeBron is putting it together. That's going to be his swan song. So another thing that they'll do, they will equate this gold medal to an additional NBA championship for them. LeBron and the Lakers probably won't get it done. I don't think they'll be good enough to win the title. But LeBron got himself another gold medal, though, on a team that he put together. You don't think that they'll at least try to put that in the place of the championship that he couldn't win for his fifth ring? Of course they will, because it's him. That's what this is about.
Let me ask you a question now. So how big is your hate, man? So do you want to see us lose? Or will you take this? When you sit here, take this, and the media storm that comes afterward.
It's a moot point because they are going to win. However, if I am going to answer your question,
yeah,
I would rather see the team lose. Because the sheer amount of credit that he's going to get, to me, is going to be unbearable. It's going to be unbearable. He's going to get too much credit. Like, that's why I told you, bro. I told you off camera. I don't think I mentioned this before while we stream, but I'm a lifelong Miami Heat fan. In secret, the 4 years that LeBron was here, I rooted for us to lose. I wasn't doing it out loud because I would have got killed. But in secret, I was rooting for the Heat to lose during the LeBron years because I didn't want to stomach. I couldn't stomach the fact that he was going to get all the credit for that success, and he did. And that's what I didn't like about it. Forget the fact that he was surrounded by veterans who never made a bad play, guys who were just open on the outside and never missed open threes, well coached, well put together organization, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. No, it was because it's LeBron. I couldn't stand it. So in secret, I rooted for the Heat to lose those years. And when he left, it was the happiest day of my life as a Heat fan, outside of when the Heat won in 2006. So if I'm answering your question, yes, I would root for the Team USA to lose. But I guess that makes me a hater. Whatever, I don't care. Because it's not, you can call me a hater all you want. That doesn't make what I'm saying not true. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a notch on the belt of LeBron is the greatest player of all time because he put the team together. That's the headline. And people are going to lose sight of that in lieu of, oh man, Kevin Durant, Steph, Jason Tatum. Oh, we're going to be out there balling out. But the underlying headline is going to be LeBron did this. This is what LeBron did.
We'll see what happens out there, man. Yeah, and my takeaway from the Heat days real quick, I didn't want us to lose, but I wasn't mad that we lost. And especially when we lost to the Spurs and the Mavericks, and the way we lost, when them beating us playing team basketball. And we were sitting there playing LeBron ball, front runner ball, and got beat by a team that was actually playing disciplined, sound defense and offense. So yeah, that I was like, yeah, we deserve to lose playing that dumb type of basketball. So if we go to Team USA and we out there front running and ice in our veins and doing all this goofy stuff, yeah, I'm low key gonna be like, yeah, because y'all not keeping it basketball. I mean, I'm a basketball purist, if you will. You know, I like the people that just play ball, you know, and same thing with football. Nick Chubb, I love Nick Chubb because he just runs and he's not flashy. He just runs. He's efficient. He scores a touchdown. He hands it to the ref. Everybody's slapping him on the head. He just want to get to the sideline. I love that. Just go play football. So same thing with basketball. Just play basketball. If you hit a three, cool, man, but not after every three. We're not doing this after every three. You know, we're not shimmying, you know, after you know, like, what are we doing?
Especially when you're somebody who's not even a shooter. You're shooting like 31% on threes for the season.
Come on, man.
You're a bad shooter, and yet you're hitting shots and you're doing the thing. Like, you can't shoot like that, bro. You're shooting 30% and you're doing this. Get out of here.
Yeah, I can't stand it. Let's keep it basketball, but everybody wants to emote like they're playing 2K or something. So it's just like, oh my God, bro, just keep it basketball. So if they're keeping it basketball, if they're out there to go handle business, because that Kobe team, we went to go handle business.
Yeah, well, they were actually led by a guy who's a leader and who doesn't do that stuff.
Exactly. That's my point. So we went out there to handle business, real Mamba-like. They went out there with a mission and they went out there and achieved it. So let's see if Captain LeBron. Yeah. Let's prove this narrative. And by the way, this is like, we like, you know, in comparison, right? the last decade or so, last 15 years or whatever, Alabama has been running college football. And they put out a blueprint on how to dominate year after year after year after year. So after winning one national championship, okay, that's not good enough. We got to go out there and dominate again and go out there and whoop people. So when we look back, there's a track record of greatness when it comes to the Olympics. There's a way you win. You don't just win, because we're past just winning, especially if we want to send our top tier cream of the crop of the world. Oh, these are the best players in the world, best shooter ever in history, best player ever in history, the Slim Reaper, the third or fourth best shooter ever in history. So you're going to have this whole historical team, right? All these top 75 people, Anthony Davis and all this other shit. So you're going to have all y'all top representatives from all this media garbage representing against world talent. I better see you guys annihilate. And if I don't see that, if y'all just going out there brushing off wins, I'm not impressed. And again, that's going to prove another point. And people can say that, oh, international players have gotten better over the time and they don't have to compete with it. I don't want to hear that, because we always hearing how great these players are in the United States compared to the old heads. So if these guys are leaps and bounds up better than Magic and Jordan, right? If they're leaps and bounds better than those people, then I don't care how great the competition got across the world. We should still be dominating across the world. So there's a way we win this. It's not just winning it. So if we win it in a way where it's like, hey, we went in there, we handle business, we got a pro in LeBron, a leader and all that stuff, and we going out there and we're winning by 25 plus a night, I'm with that. But if they just eking out wins and they just, oh, United States pulls off the victory, I don't want to hear that. And then I'll just, in one foul swoop, this would be a good catch-all bucket too. I want to see them all go. And this would be a good catch-all bucket. And just one foul swoop. If they disappoint, that's one just whoop. Y'all are not better than those people that I grew up watching. And that's the proof. So let's see how you guys handle it. Top 75. I can't believe that stuff. Anthony Davis, top 75. Are you kidding me? How do you put him in the top 75? I can go on all day about that, man.
I don't know. I suspect that will be the result. If it's the best players, I suspect that it will be that way.
They better.
And it would have to be that way, because you can't have the team winning. Like LeBron can't get credit for something that isn't like pristine. So it has to be, because LeBron's going to get the credit for the success. So because LeBron's going to get the credit for the success has to be pristine. So they have to blow everybody out, because otherwise it's going to stain LeBron. So we can't have LeBron being stained. Therefore, it must be in dominating fashion, because you can't attach a level of credit to anything with LeBron's name if it is not pristine. So that's what's going to happen. I suspect that that's what's going to happen, because it's being set up. This is being set up as another triumph, not for Team USA, but for LeBron. That's what this is being set up as. Trust me. That's what's happening here, because we're going to win the Olympics. The best players get out there. But if the story is LeBron put the team together, it facilitates LeBron getting the credit, which is what they love. They need LeBron to get the credit. So that's what's going to happen.
Dominate. I better see a dominant and, like you said, a pristine performance. And if I see that, I might end up giving him more credit than he deserves. You know what I'm saying? So this is a good little stage for him to prove something. You know, you could say it's in the latter part of his career, but hey, man, this is the GOAT, right? So you better go out there and do some GOAT type stuff on a world stage.
I guess, yeah. Good luck, Team USA. Good luck, Team USA. Gosh, I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen, man.
Oh my goodness.
Friend of the channel, Brittany Renner, is a quasi fan of Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate, famed content creator, makes content trying to tell men how to be men, and has his ideas on a woman's place and what women should and should not be doing, and women's worth and all of this good stuff. So for a lot of men who subscribe to the manosphere, Andrew Tate is an influential person. And Brittany Renner although some might think that she would have a problem with Andrew Tate's commentary, she actually thinks that he's not all that bad. And for anyone who does not know, Brittany Renner was once on a podcast with Andrew Tate, and they kind of espouse their individual beliefs on stuff, but they didn't necessarily come to blows in terms of arguing. They just kind of agreed to disagree on certain subjects and agreed to agree on others. So when it comes to Tate, Brittany Renner has a rather hospitable mindset. So here's a good old friend of the channel, Brittany Renner, talking about how she feels about Andrew Tate. So this is pretty interesting stuff. We figured we would play this video and then give our 2 cents on what Brittany Renner feels about Andrew Tate.
He can have his views on things. I can have my view on things. There are some things he says that I like. There are some things that I just simply don't agree with. And I think people have to kind of just do what's best for them. And if that is his ideal woman, that's what he sees himself with, and that's what he's going to manifest, and rightfully so. I don't think that just because we all think differently that we all need to think alike for it to be okay. Like, I'm not a cult leader, so I don't need people to think like me. So yeah, like he takes a very hard stance on a lot of different things. And like I said, there are some things that I agree with, some things I understand his point of view, but I also believe there's exceptions to every rule.
Right.
I also believe that there are a lot of stereotypes are true. Like, multiple things can be true at once. So I love Andrew Tate, honestly. I thought he was like great. So yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff that he talks about, like, obviously I can't relate.
Right.
Because I'm like, the girl, like the women that aren't worthy of being wives. Like, that's how I would more so be categorized with those types of beliefs,
Right.
But that's not how that's not really how he made me feel when we had the sit down. Yeah, he was not degrading. I felt like we just had a really honest conversation about from that point of view and how a lot of men look at certain things. And when it comes to, having a kid, when it comes to being so open about my past and being with different men, can I understand why a man wouldn't take me seriously? Yes, but that's not, I don't fault people who don't see my value. Like, if you don't see it, you're not meant to see it, and that's okay.
Right.
We move on. I don't have to subscribe or feel less than just because I'm not your cup of tea. So I think we can respect, the differences and appreciate the similarities.
Interesting.
Get out of here. All right. So, hey man, listen. If you don't see her value, it's because you weren't meant to see it.
Interesting.
Shouts out to Renner, man. Did appreciate her talking about how she's not a cult leader, so she don't care about people agreeing with everybody or not. So I like that part.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you have a take on what Renner said there?
I mean, I was a little thrown off by the setting of this interview. I was like, is this the intro to something? Are they pulling up to Tate's house after this? Like, what are we doing here? Because this looks like a Bang Bus scene or something like this. I'm like, what's going on? What kind of interview area is this? You're literally in a van in some shaded area. This is a little sketch.
This new media world, this new media is weird, bro. We got podcasts where they're giving interviews in beds with glasses of wine and in vans, and it's new human stuff, bro. New human
dungeons. So hey man, whatever floats your boat, right? But yeah, this looks like some intro to some OnlyFans scene, but it seemed like she was being really serious here. So she was talking about brother Tate here, and she has a very interesting point of view. She seems cultured in a sense that, well, she knows she don't live in her world, and she knows there's a lot of stuff going on. So it was an interesting point of view coming from her. And as she pretty much said it there, that if we think that she's not wife material, then we don't we don't understand her value like that. I think what she's getting there is that, hey, there's guys that know I'm full of shit, you know, and then there's guys that see me for, you know, who I am, she says, but that's her game. So what she's saying there to me in translation is the guys that actually want her are the ones that actually fall for her games. The guys that don't fall for her games, like Andrew Tate, she's okay with them not dealing with her, but she still respects them because they can peep her game that she's full of shit. But she knows there's somebody out there for her, and that's the person who falls for her little game. So that's how I translated that thought conversation, and that's her word salad in the bang bus bus. So how do you feel about this take here from Miss Brittany Reynolds?
Yeah, I largely agree with you. I think that she has perspective. So she's aware that there are going to be men who aren't willing to sign up for her baggage, and she doesn't feel as though the men who are unwilling to sign up for her baggage are in the wrong necessarily. It just means that they don't understand or recognize her worth, and I'll let her have that, so long as she understands that men don't, so long as she understands that a man isn't necessarily in the wrong because they feel as though it is incumbent upon them to not sign up for her brand of baggage. So I don't necessarily have an issue with what she said there. And in having perspective, you know, I would say that she, you know, hopefully is going to get to a point in which she understands that she is wifey material within reason. Now, I'm a big believer of symmetry. I'm a believer in things that make sense. So my whole, and I've actually said this on this channel before, it isn't necessarily that she's not wife material, but she's trying to be like, you know, she wants to be, I get, based on what I've seen from her in various videos and speaking engagements and appearances, is she holds herself to the standard of the type of woman who is desired by a man who's not looking for her brand of baggage.
Right.
And I think she's going to fall short in that regard because, you know, like it or not, you're going to have to understand that you're probably wifey material still, but to men who themselves have baggage. Right. So you've got to get with other guys who are like, you know, single fathers or who have, you know, had accumulated a large sizable body count in the entertainment industry, or other guys who are in the entertainment or sports industries, because there's a shared experience there that likens itself to a certain degree of symmetry that gives you the best chance to be a wife. So what I glean from her comments is that perhaps she's getting to a point where she's understanding that that is what her lot in life is, and it is what it is. There's no point in being upset about it because you wrote the book, you were with all the rappers and the athletes, you did what you did, can't take it back. All you can do is make the best of the situation to move forward. So I gather that she has perspective and she understands that. And so she can still get what she wants. She's going to have to understand that concessions need to be made. And you're going to have to get with your counterpart, man. And it just is what it is. So maybe I'm reading into her. Maybe I'm sort of putting words into her mouth, but I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt in that regard, in that she understands and maintains that perspective. That's, you know, basically what she's coming at it from. That's what she's looking at. Just other men with baggage, other men who have those shared experiences. You're not going to get clean-cut business mogul guy with no baggage. I don't think that's in the cards for you. What's in the cards for you is other guys who have done basically the same things that you've done. Maybe guys who themselves are, you know, sex workers or not.
Gigolos.
Yeah, you know, all that stuff. And, you know, guys who make chicks sign NDAs before they sleep with women, and that's, you know, stuff like that. So maybe she understands that. Hopefully she does.
Well, I'll say this. If that's the angle, because I was going that she was going to fool people angle, but if we go this angle, the concessions that she has to make is it can't be the standard. It can't be like monogamy. It can't be loyalty. It can't be what what normal people have, because of the life that she lived, and I think will for always live. And then the guy who the hypothetical guy who has his baggage. So if they both understand they ain't shit, if they both want to keep it open, but if they want to, if they got some understanding, but it's not going to be what the other people have, because you can't have that man. If you can't have that man, you can't have his same relationship. You see what I'm saying? So if you pick this baggage man, you can't have the relationship of blue collar man. So you're gonna have to, the concessions is gonna break down all that other stuff that you wanted, like loyalty and all those other. They're gonna fall into other buckets, and you got to be cool with that. And so, but it's gonna take on a new form due to the fact that you are such a new breed of human that's going on nowadays. And that's why I was telling you before in other previous conversations, these people that's living these type of lifestyles, if they do want to have something serious when they getting old and crusty, it's not going to be what grandma and grandpa had. They're going to have to find a new way to get old with each other. And it's going to look a little poly because of how everybody getting down nowadays. So she fits in that boat to me because of how she is. And if she want to get with another person that want to live poly, live open, and do all that stuff, I think that'll be her best bet. So good luck, Miss Renner, and your bang bus. So, I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, good luck to her, because that's pretty much all she does nowadays is just, it's funny to see her career arc, if you want to use that word, career.
Right.
Because, you know, like, I thought she was just going to be a fitness influencer, and now she's basically a basketball wife, quite literally. I wouldn't be shocked if she ended up on one of those shows. Do they still do that show?
Yeah,
but she's essentially a basketball wife who speaks on her relationship status. That's what she does. I don't know what else she does. I don't know what else she does. So you know, and gets called to speak to young men about how not to get played by women like her. Ironic. You know, so it's just interesting. It's funny stuff.
All looking for a husband. That's crazy.
Yeah, right. Right. Oh man, good luck to you, Brittany.
The internet.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay, this is good stuff. So this is a viral video. A couple is stopped on the street and they are asked about marriage. This is on the Desirable Truth show. This guy walks around the city streets, stopping people to pry and ask them personal questions. That's essentially what this is. This guy does this all the time. So, yeah, I'm gonna set this up much more, but this is pretty funny. So this dude asked this couple about, you know, getting married or what's the status of the situation because they've been together for as long as they've been together. And I think intra-relationship mayhem ensued as a result of this guy asking them this question. So check this out.
Been together?
3 years.
3 years.
3 years. Has he proposed to you yet?
No.
No, not yet. It's coming. It's coming.
You guys live together now?
Yes.
A year and a half. Yeah.
So why would he put a ring on it then if he's already getting everything?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
He's getting the wifey. Okay, you got it.
What?
Why would you put a ring on it if we already live together? If I'm already doing wifey shit.
I genuinely love you.
Oh. So when you plan on proposing, you starting something.
Why do I need a ring to show you my love and dedication to you when I do that on a daily basis?
A ring is
wrong answer.
making it official.
Yeah, it's no such thing as official. If you love each other, it's just like
A ring is making it official.
everybody got their own opinion. So it's just like she's a female, so a female gonna have their own opinion anyway.
You're single until married, in my opinion.
That term don't mean shit to me at all. I'm being all the way authentic with you. I'm being authentic with you. I'm being 100 with you. That term you just said don't mean shit.
Damn, son. Bro took all the bait. I can't believe
it.
Damn, he tried to stand his ground, but you ain't gonna win that. Oh man.
Oh gosh. These, I'll start real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for
it. What was the host?
Boy. What a slime, boy. I can't believe this, man.
See, this is the problem, and this is why men are losing out here. This is why men are losing out here in these streets.
Oh my
because
God.
we have ceased to live by a code.
Yeah,
I say this each and every week that we touch on topics like this. Men are losing because they don't have a mission statement. They don't live by a code. They're empty vessels in the world, consuming and living for the pursuit of women. And when you are lacking in a code, you will step over another man to get what you want. And this guy, this host, was to me clearly trying to, dust up some stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't even think that interview would have went in that direction if that chick didn't look the way she looked. He might not have even approached him to even ask him the question or interview him in the first place.
That's true too.
He saw the chick, he saw him, and his lack of code kicked in and decided to just, drum up dust between the two of them. And you know what I'm saying? Like, whether you want to we can get into the weeds talking about the merit of the question itself, being with somebody for 3 years and why he ain't proposed or not. To me, that's not the point. See, this is two topics we've done tonight where we're losing the plot. One with LeBron, because we're losing the plot and we're focusing on Team USA when really the plot is about LeBron getting credit. And we're losing the plot here because it ain't about being with somebody for 3 years and wanting to commit with a marriage. It's about the fact that this guy, loose moraled and lacking in a code, decided that he was going to drum up dust to try and create some sort of friction because he wanted to get at this dude's chick. That's what I think. That's my personal opinion. And you'll do stuff like that when you lack in a code. You can't go ask some other chick who's not with her dude. At least if you're going to plant a seed of doubt in a woman's mind, at least plant a seed of doubt in a woman's mind who's like not physically in the vicinity of her man. You're just doing this with this dude here. I think this dude has no code. That's what I think. And this is why guys are losing, because men don't have a code. I keep trying to tell y'all men out here, wake up one day, and if you have not done so, get out a notepad and a pen and write out your life mission statement. Come up with a set of things that you will not compromise in the pursuit of anything, and that includes women. And to me, this guy doesn't have such a code. He's just out here doing whatever, and he is living behind the guise of his however many followers he has on whatever platform this show comes on, whether he has a whole bunch of Instagram followers or YouTube subscribers or whatever he gets to, hide behind, that also, gives him a sense of security or his sense of confidence to be able to just do this kind of stuff out here in the streets. I don't know. That's kind of what I make. That's kind of what I make it is that guy, the guy who was holding the microphone. He was the real villain there, not the guy who hasn't proposed to a girl who he has, by all appearances, been loyal to for 3 years.
Absolutely, bro. And I was gonna bring up, bro, too, because that is a wild ass question. That's just out of pocket, to be honest. To be asking somebody that question. I mean, even if it was a one-on-one thing, it's like, bro, what's your thing? But that's what those guys be doing to your girl at work, man, with that work husband. You be asking all them questions. Oh, so how long y'all been together? Oh, word? He trying to wife you up yet? Why not? You know what I'm saying? We just seen bro with a microphone this time, but that's how those dudes look. That's how they move. And so that was a slime question, bro. So but yeah, I'm gonna address bro that was answering the question, because I've been in that boat before. But you can't you can't explain yourself out of that bag. You're just not. And you can tell them the program that marriage is just a construct and all this other stuff. They don't want to hear it. So you just have to know your personnel. And I'm sure they've had conversations about this before, that him and their girl. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure they had conversations about it before, but they were on two different planes right there. And I'm saying all this to say is that whenever y'all are doing the evaluation process, y'all both figuring each other out. I had these kind of conversations about marriage, their expectations about marriage, to see what I'm going up against. Because sometimes when you get involved in these situations, you're dealing with a fairy tale that's in her mind about marriage, about what a husband look like, what, who's going to be there, how much money going to get spent. So you got to see who you dealing with. If you're dealing with a humble person or somebody that just wants the horse and pony show, And so this guy looked like he's trying to do it the right way. He got the girl. They've been living together for a year and a half. They moving towards it. And here comes this slime. You know what I'm saying? Asking this question, impeding bro's whole program. But so my point here in all of this is that if the conversations were had earlier and those things get ironed out earlier, if some slime come ask that question, your chick got a response. We already talked about this. Whatever. Why marriage didn't happen within the first 3 years? He's got a 5-year program. Blah, 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 blah. So handling a situation like this when basically you got to have all those uncomfortable conversations out the gate, So when I try to get to know somebody, I really try to get to know them. So this situation here, very sad, man. I didn't like it. When I heard bro answering the questions and saying what he was saying, bro was standing on it, and I agree with him. But I haven't heard a woman in that position before, and you got to talk her out of that. And it don't sound like y'all had enough conversations about that. So that's why y'all having this little spat, and why you're on one worldview and she's on a whole nother one. So that conversation's got to be had. Don't know what they do about that, but yeah, man, that guy there. Hey, man, anything for the content, man. He said, hey, if this is what's going to drive the algorithm, I'll mess up people's happy home. And that's apparently what he attempted to do here. But I think bro's pretty solid, and I think she knows what's up. So I don't think
I certainly hope so. These red pill dudes, because that's what these guys who host these red pill podcasts do. They be trying to holler. They use the podcast to try and smash women. You know what I'm saying? They use the podcast to try and get women on the show, and then they just try to slide on them because they were on the show. So they're no more beta than the men that they supposed to. They're no more of a beta than the men that they claim to be trying to correct into not being a beta anymore. That's what's so ironic about dudes like that. They're using the podcast and the platform to smash women. Like, how is that alpha? But see, that's what's been so misconstrued out here in this red pill conversation, is the notion that you can just take another man's woman away from him is an alpha trait. That's the game. That's the propaganda that's floating out here in these streets. So in other words, I'm an alpha. And as an alpha, I reserve the right to take your girl away from you because I'm an alpha, and that's what alphas do. That is the propaganda that's going on out here. And it's silly. It's goofy behavior, but that's just kind of how they think. And yeah, I kind of think Buddy was just kind of being a villain in that situation.
What? Wow.
Because holy crap, he'll be the first person to go on to another podcast that talks about dating and relationships and want to lament on and on about how disloyal women are. Yet you're the dude who's perpetuating the dishonesty and the disloyalty. You can't make this shit up. You really can't. But I don't know. There's a lot of perpetrators and frauds going on out here. I don't know this guy from a bag of chips, but I did not like that question at all.
Me either.
You don't know how their relationship is structured. And for you to do that, you just are out here being a dude with no code. That's just kind of how I see that.
Unbelievable, this guy. Yeah, I've never heard of this before, but no, I think I did see another messy video here. So yeah, he's got a record of this. So
yeah,
steer clear of this guy, people.
Slime indeed, man.
Unreal.
Now,
my boy. My boy. Yeah.
So this video is going viral right now. Joe Biden, do we know where he was when he was doing this?
I
Was this
don't
at the
know.
White House?
I don't know where this. I think this was in front of like important international people.
Yeah, I think so too. But this is going viral because Joe Biden starts rambling, and the rambling goes so far off the rails that his staff cuts his mic off. Now, rarely do we dip into any political waters here with this channel, but this one was too funny to pass up. So let's see here. So Joe Biden, Freudian slip. Joe Biden is currently being memed on social media and on the internet because of the fact that his own people felt it necessary to silence him, to stop him from speaking, or rather to stop his speaking from being audible. So check this out.
If you don't know what you want at the meeting, if you don't have a game plan, he may have a game plan. He just hasn't shared it with me. But I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we talked about at the conference overall. We talked about stability. We talked about making sure that the third world, the Southern Hemisphere.
Thank you, everybody. This ends the conference. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
That Southern Hemisphere poverty thing. I mean, third world thing. That is great.
Oh,
he had another one where he was talking about, poor kids. Poor kids. They can be smart too. I forgot. I'm gonna blow that. I'm gonna have a gaff like him. But yeah, he says the darndest things. This is both funny and sad. And this is sad on a couple of levels. Dementia is a wild thing, right? But the other sad part is that, this guy is president of the United States. So this guy's supposed to be running the country. And, as I said before, man, on here, he can't find his pants. So I don't know what's going on right now. I don't know who's really running the show up there. It can't be him. He can barely take care of himself at this point, it looks like. So he can't carry on a conversation. So I don't know what's to be made of this stuff, but all of his gaffes, they're hilarious. And for anybody out there that has anything to say about the political process and it being, for the people, in the sense that you put a president there and they're going to be doing work. Well, one would argue that the country is not in good shape right now because of how his state is. But another thing is, how is a whole country being run when this guy's in this state, if the country isn't already being run in some kind of other way? And so, this to me, it just points out and it highlights that, who's really running the country. Because at this point, this guy can't even run his own household, it looks like. And the last thing before I let you go, if somebody had dementia at your job and they were the CEO, right, and they ran the damn thing and they had dementia, your company's getting run into the garbage. Everybody would be like, let's get this guy out of here because he's making these ridiculous decisions, or none at all. You can even have a team lead with dementia. But we have a president of the United States with dementia. This cannot be a thing. So if this wasn't a open diagnosis for all the doctors and YouTube and Twitter doctors and all that other stuff, I don't know what is. So how about you, man? How you feel about Sleepy Joe taking a nap on stage, if you will?
Yeah, I remember the last election. That was what, 2020? That was 2020, right? Yeah. When it became clear that the general election was going to be won by Joe Biden. And I remember, so I like Star Wars. And what it reminded me of was at the end of Return of the Jedi, when the rebels defeated the Empire and they blew up the Death Star. It shows people all over the galaxy on different planets celebrating. So it goes to Mos Eisley and everybody's celebrating in the desert. And it goes to the capital city and everybody's celebrating. They tear the statue down of the emperor. And it goes to, the new special version, the digitized version. They go to the forest planet, the Naboo, and it shows everybody celebrating. That's what I was reminded of when it became clear that Joe Biden was going to win the general election. Everybody was out celebrating in the streets because the emperor had been defeated. The mighty empire had been toppled. It reminded me of that final celebration scene from Return of the Jedi. Anybody who's seen Return of the Jedi who watches this video, you know what I'm talking about. And now you fast forward 3 years later, and it's like you got that moment of respite to celebrate, but was it really all that meaningful or impactful? To a large portion of the country, it was, because as you and I have discussed on this channel often, people don't participate in the political process for actual tangible policy. They participate for identity politics. So to the majority of the people who viewed Donald Trump as the bad guy, they were coming at it from an angle of identity politics. Oh, he doesn't like color. He doesn't like people of color. He's racist. Or he doesn't like immigrants. He doesn't like women. He doesn't like trans people, right? All of the identity stuff was the reason why Donald Trump was largely viewed as the enemy, the bad guy. And so you got your hero, you got your good guy, the person who's supposed to be stand on the right side of history with all this stuff. And yet we are literally living in a silent depression. Depending on all the research that you look at, no one's making any money except the top 10% or 1%. You can't even take a livable salary and purchase a home. You can't get an apartment. Prices are too high. I can't go to the grocery store without spending at least $75, $100 on a handful of items. I'm paying an ungodly amount of money in taxes, healthcare, insurance, dental, all of this stuff. Now, I'm not necessarily putting this at the foot of Joe Biden, and trust and believe, I am not nearly as educated and well-versed in the world of politics as someone else may be. So I am not sitting up here trying to make myself seem like a political expert. But I do know what my life was like before he started doing this, and I know what my life is like now. That's what I do know. And I do know that right now we are living in a world where unless you live in an area of the country with an extremely low cost of living, 75, 80K a year can barely get you into your own house. And that to me is a sad reality. That's just my sort of long-winded way to talk about the difference between leaning into this political process for identity politics versus actual hardened policy. And I'm not even saying that the previous administration had the right ideas when it comes to policy. I'm just saying people didn't give a damn. They didn't care who had the right idea. They were just like, let's get the bad guy out here. We need to get the emperor out of here because he's the bad guy. And I'm just like, was he, and that's and another thing that I'll say is this really does highlight the importance of paying attention and taking your local election seriously. Like, this country is being run into the toilet. Who you want to blame for that is beside the point for me. I don't care who you want to blame it on. Blame it on Republicans, Democrats, liberals, conservatives. I don't give a shit who you want to blame it on. It's being run into the toilet. And people pay far too much attention to this political process at the national level when it comes to this identity politics stuff. And if you want to see things change for the better and the way that they impact you individually, people need to start caring more about their local elections, pay more attention to who you elect to run your state, pay more attention to who you elect to represent you in the Congress and the Senate and all of that good stuff, because regular people don't care as enough about that stuff. And that is more important than whatever this dude has going on with his dementia and falling asleep in public and going on his long tangents. But people will fixate on this more than the local stuff. So pay more attention to the local stuff. Pay more attention to actual policy, less about identity politics. You should care more about who is going to put this economy back into the surplus than you care about people who want to create gender neutral bathrooms. But what we're seeing in this country is more people care about gender neutral bathrooms than a surplus economy, and that to me is some goofy shit.
And concerning. Very concerning. But yeah, man, well said. I agree. And last thing I'll say is, just to reiterate, everybody that you know or had stories of somebody that had dementia, they had to take a step down. They had to go sit down somewhere and shut it down. If they had a job, they had to shut it down. If they were doing whatever, they had to shut it down. This guy's the president of the United States, and he's clearly had dementia the entire time he's been in office. So I don't know what's going on for the past 3 years, but that's insulting. So I would just tell the people, as you said, man, take advantage of more of the political process of where you at. You do have control on that. And that's where you live. So you might want to see that impact wherever you're putting it in at. So yeah, I agree, man. If you believe in a political process, then yeah, take the local stuff seriously. Because when I was being educated on voting, it wasn't like, my dad told me to vote local stuff too, but everybody else around me was just voting for president. Right, and going home, and they didn't vote for the other stuff. So if you're gonna do that, do the other stuff. That's all I say. I don't do none of that. So come holler.
Yeah, the local politics impact you directly. Yeah, the national stuff is pomp and circumstance, in my opinion.
Agreed.
But yeah, either way though, I do find this stuff comical, amusing, but also kind of sad at the same time.
Yeah, man. All in
and one. You're not going to convince me that a world that exists in which you can't buy a home unless you're a six-figure earner, unless you live in a low cost of living area. So granted, if you live somewhere where the cost of living is low, you can get by on a reasonable salary. But if you live in any urban center, any city in this country, it's outrageous. This economy is out of control. And unless you're combining incomes with another person, we are literally in the midst of an economy which sees you unable to purchase a home unless you're close to six figures a year as an individual earner. And that's what I care about. I'm on the fiscal stuff, economics. All that other stuff is whatever to me. I mean, yeah, I guess it's important, but I can't fight for what's right in the world if I'm poor and too broke to do so. So first and foremost, I'm looking at the economy.
Right.
And this stuff right now is out of control. It's terrible. So whoever you want to blame for that, I don't know. I guess you can watch your CNBC shows, and somebody in the comments of this video can educate me on who or what is to blame for how jacked up this situation is. But it's being most represented by Sleepy Joe at the moment. And so it takes me back to my central question of, you got what you wanted a few years ago when you got the bad guy out of there. And, how okay are you with that decision now? And that's a decision that every individual is going to have to ask. So
wake up, Joe.
Yeah.
Wake up,
it is
Joe.
what it is. The man's own people turn his damn microphone off. That's crazy.
Boy, I'm telling you, that's that third world Southern Hemisphere stuff. Boy, what are you talking about? It's like, you know what? Cut them off.
Oh boy, but yeah, that'll do it for tonight's stream, man. Thanks everybody for tuning in. My name is JV Wins. That is Dogon SS. As always, appreciate everybody for supporting this logical content. If you like the commentary in this or any video that you happen to be watching on this channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that you can get the notification whenever new content is published here. Like the video, leave a comment. If you're watching any of these videos on the Facebook page, go ahead and leave a comment and like the video there as well. We certainly appreciate that. You can find me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS, and Conscious Approach is also on Instagram at ConApproach, CONAPPROACH. So until the next time, thank you for tuning in. You are most appreciated, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Yeah. And the name is Dogon SS. All right, you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube at Dogon_SS. Also, Hurricane Dogon on YouTube. Goddamn. And as I say on every part, guys, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot, especially weird interview people that's asking questions in the street, trying to ruin your happy home. Don't let them knock you off, fellas. Stay on your square. So until the next time, guys, we'll catch you and Sleepy Joe on the flip side.
Oh boy, that's right, man. Go Dolphins, go Seminoles. Seminoles number 4 in the country. Holla at me. Dolphins got the best offense in the NFL. Holla at me.
Holla at me. Tyreek Hill MVP. What's up?
Yeah, Tyreek Hill was my number 1 pick on my fantasy team. Holla at me. But yeah, we'll see y'all next time, man. Appreciate you for tuning in. Peace.
Peace.